Most millionaires don't lose their fortunes overnight. They slowly lose it over time through a few dangerous financial mistakes that look harmless at first. If you are building serious wealth, even one of these mistakes can turn millions into nothing within a single generation. Today, we break down the 5 silent wealth killers that destroy rich families and how to avoid them before they take everything away. The biggest threat to wealth is not a market crash or recession. It is human behavior, overconfidence, poor planning, emotional decisions, and lack of discipline. Wealth rarely disappears in one event. It leaks slowly over years, sometimes generations. Many rich families didn't fail because of bad luck, but because they repeatedly made the same avoidable mistakes without realizing the long-term damage. Mistake 1. Over-leveraging. Leverage can multiply wealth, but excessive debt destroys it just as fast. Many wealthy investors borrow heavily during good times, assuming markets will keep rising forever. But when conditions change, debt becomes a burden instead of a tool. During major downturns like the 2008 financial crisis, over-leveraged investors collapsed because falling income and rising obligations left them unable to survive. The danger comes from overconfidence, believing growth will always continue. Warning signs include too much debt compared to cash flow, reliance on short-term loans, or putting all borrowing into one sector like real estate. Smart investors keep leverage controlled, maintain safety margins, and always prepare for worst-case scenarios instead of best-case assumptions. Mistake 2. Neglecting liquidity. Many wealthy individuals appear rich on paper, but are cash poor in reality. Their wealth is locked in properties, businesses, or long-term investments that cannot easily be converted into cash. When emergencies happen, they are forced to sell assets at the worst possible time, often at huge losses. Liquidity is not just protection, it is power. Cash allows investors to survive downturns and also take advantage of opportunities when others are forced to sell. During crises, those with cash become buyers while others become sellers. Smart investors always maintain emergency reserves and access to credit so they never feel trapped during financial stress. Mistake 3. Poor tax and estate planning. Even successful wealth builders can lose a large portion of their fortune without proper planning. Taxes, inheritance issues, and legal disputes can quietly destroy wealth after death. Estate taxes and legal fees can take significant percentages of a lifetime's work if structures are not in place. Many families lose wealth simply because there is no will, trust, or clear transfer plan. Smart investors use legal tools like wills, trusts, and tax-efficient strategies to ensure wealth is preserved and smoothly passed to the next generation. Without planning, even great fortunes can break apart in courtrooms and tax offices. Mistake 4. Emotional investing. Fear and greed are 2 of the biggest enemies of wealth. When markets fall, investors panic and sell at the worst possible time. When markets rise, they chase hype and buy overpriced assets. Both behaviors lead to long-term losses. Emotional investing destroys discipline. Successful investors avoid reacting to short-term noise and instead follow structured strategies. They stay invested during volatility, rebalance based on rules, and focus on long-term outcomes instead of temporary emotions. Wealth is built through consistency, not emotional reactions. Mistake 5. Not educating the heirs. One of the most overlooked reasons wealth disappears is lack of financial education in the next generation. Studies show most wealthy families lose their fortune by the 2nd or 3rd generation because heirs are never taught how money actually works. Without education, wealth becomes entitlement instead of responsibility. Spending increases, discipline decreases, and the original purpose of wealth is lost. History is full of examples where massive fortunes disappeared simply because the next generation was unprepared. Families that preserve wealth focus heavily on financial education. They teach budgeting, investing, responsibility, and decision-making from an early age. They involve heirs in discussions so they understand how wealth is created and maintained. How these mistakes combine. These mistakes rarely happen alone. High leverage combined with low liquidity forces forced selling during downturns. Emotional investing creates losses that are difficult to recover from. Poor estate planning creates legal and tax pressure, and uneducated heirs repeat the same cycle again. Together, they slowly destroy wealth across generations, not suddenly, but quietly and consistently over time. Mike Tyson earned hundreds of millions but still went bankrupt due to poor financial decisions and lack of structure. Boris Becker faced financial collapse after bad investments and debt issues. Even lottery winners often lose their wealth within a few years because sudden money without financial education leads to poor decisions. The pattern is always the same: lack of discipline, planning, and long-term thinking. How the wealthy protect money. Ultra-wealthy families take a very different approach. They diversify their assets, limit unnecessary debt, maintain strong liquidity, and build long-term legal structures like trusts. They also hire professionals for taxes, investments, and estate planning. Most importantly, they treat wealth as something to preserve, not just spend. Their focus is not only on making money, but on making sure it survives for generations. Control your leverage and avoid excessive debt. Build strong cash reserves for safety and opportunity. Create proper estate and tax planning to protect your wealth. Follow disciplined investing rules instead of emotional decisions. And start educating the next generation early so they understand responsibility, not just inheritance. These steps are simple, but powerful enough to protect wealth for decades. Wealth is easy to lose, but hard to build. The difference between families that stay rich and those that go broke is discipline and planning. Avoid these 5 mistakes, and you don't just protect money, you protect your future, your family, and your legacy for generations to come.